Why would the city of St. Louis want to privatize Lambert International Airport? What would that even mean? That's the first in a litany of questions and a crush of controversies surrounding the proposal. The biggest changes you would see, according to the working group currently exploring privatization policies, would not be in the terminal. It would be on the outskirts of the facility, where currently there isn't much.
Well, right now the city has 1,000 acres sitting next to the airport, completely vacant land. To me, that's a financial opportunity, a job opportunity, an economic opportunity for the city and the region.
That land and runways, which are used at only about 50% of their capacity, need development, she says, and the city can't afford to do it on its own. One potential advantage is a private entity could do the development and the city could theoretically get a big paycheck up front and a cut of the profits afterward.
This is a way to have the best of both worlds. Take the assets that are currently owned by the city and take private debt and equity and make it something that we can't do by ourselves.
So let somebody else take the risk, basically.
Exactly. They take the risk, but if there's a return to it, the city would get a return and the investor would get a return.
But if it's such a great idea, why hasn't anyone else in the entire country besides Puerto Rico done it?
There have been a number of attempts in the past. I think like Midway went through that. In 2008, they actually almost brought it to conclusion, but the recession hit it, and so it didn't pass. Otherwise, it probably would have passed. We'll see in Europe and other areas it has taken root, and those are the kind of things you want to explore when you're evaluating this option.
Alderwoman Kara Spencer, a leader of those opposing the privatization deal, raises that and many other questions.
Taking a large gamble like that with our city's largest asset is really concerning to many of us.
Right now, it's impossible to say whether the deal would be a good one or a bad one because there has been no offer, no numbers. None of that has been requested yet. Opposition to the plan at this point has been much more a case of skepticism about the process.
The public really deserves to have some additional information. We have literally no information about not just a potential proposal, but why privatization even is being considered at this point.
She says it begins with the lead consultant on the project, a group called Grow Missouri, which has backing from billionaire Rex Sinkfield, among others. We should point out that company's president holds a minority investment in MetroSTL.com. Spencer says their deal, which says they won't get paid unless the city decides to privatize the airport, stacks the deck in favor of privatization.
You're guaranteeing a conflict of interest with the consultant that you hire. And in fact, as we saw, the RFP was written by a consortium, with that strange provision that they only get paid out of the proceeds out of the airport privatization. And they were literally the only respondent to the RFP that they wrote, and they won the contract.
That's the way this market works. If you think about it, when the city issues bonds, the underwriters don't get paid, the bond counsel doesn't get paid, the disclosure counsel doesn't get paid until the transaction occurs. Nobody's dictating an outcome to us. They are advisors. They are not the leaders.
But I think the important thing is that we have set some goals for this process. And I think regardless of who's making a recommendation and all, as long as the city sticks to its guns and with its objectives throughout this process and is comfortable with reviewing everything that we receive and whether we meet that goal, we could proceed, or if we don't meet that goal, we don't pursue it.
Then there's the question of who makes that decision. The two sides tell different stories on that front.
There's really not going to be any mechanism by which those members of the public or the Board of Aldermen, for that matter, will really be able to evaluate not just a proposal, but whether or not privatization even is a good idea to consider.
There's no predetermined outcome here. The people that make a decision are the Board of Aldermen and the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, and they've not taken a position, and I'm just a city employee trying to make an opportunity available for the city.
A letter sent to Spencer from the city councilor's office says, in fact, the aldermen will have a say in the process. They also differ on the importance of a citywide vote, something Spencer says was promised in the application to the Federal Aviation Administration.
It was very clearly laid out that the public would have a vote in that process. This was in 2017. Clearly there has been a change in course and a change of mind.
But the advisory group says a vote would have given decision-making power solely to the mayor, something they feel is less transparent than going through this process. The working group won't say when they will start asking for so-called requests for qualification, other than it will be very soon. According to their website, that step is actually months behind schedule right now. From there, it would be about another year until a decision can be made. The only certainty at this point is that the airport is likely to be at the center of a huge fight between now and whenever then is.
I like to see us go back to the beginning, if we're serious about considering airport privatization, and handle it in an open and transparent, publicly engaged manner.
We've always talked about 4 different approval processes: FAA, airlines, Board of Aldermen, Board of E&A. I mean, we have been saying this over and over again. I mean, if anybody says that we haven't let people know this is the way we're going forward and somehow we're hiding something, I guess they just haven't been really paying attention.
A long-term fight appears to be brewing. George Sells, MetroSTL.com.